Hello and welcome back. And that's right, today we are returning once again to the subject of the Gl.iNet Comet X. This is a 4-client KVM multi-management device. This allows you to have 4 different client devices going in and then manage them one by one. More on that in a moment. Now, quick disclaimer out the way, and again, there are chapters along the bottom of the screen. This video was further testing of this device. But the thing I need to disclose early doors is I wasn't going to make a video like this for about 2 months. I'm recording this on the 25th of June, and this is the day after my initial early prototype testing video went out. And I did that because even though I was going to sit tight and wait for the fully fleshed out RC software to roll out, a number of you were asking about it. Once this appeared on the crowdfunding page for this, the Comet Q, the USB-C 1 cable KVM that they're running crowdfunding on. Now, I made that video early, but as I detailed in that video, I'm still reviewing a device that in hardware is ready, but the software isn't yet, hence why I wanted to come back to it later. But after that video went out, I got a lot of DMs, a lot of people asking for different tests, and to my own credit, I did kind of say in that video, if you want to see a test done, let me know. And my initial plan was to run a live stream of this in a month or so, something I've already posted on the Gl.iNet Reddit. I'm waiting for the post to be approved by the mods, but while that was going on, I got so many questions coming through for the setup, and that the crowdfunding for this device ends, I think, in about 5 to 6 days. It might even be less than that by the time this video goes out. The number of you just wanted to know bits and bobs about it, and that's what this video is about. We're still looking at the device that Gl.iNet have sent me. They're not paying for this video, but they have supplied this prototype hardware for me. Just a quick thing I wanted to insert here though, making videos here on YouTube is getting harder all the time. I don't like putting sponsorships here on the channel, but it's getting close to that point where we may have to. Now, in order to fight that off as long as possible, I've got to use affiliate marketing commissions as much as I can. And with that in mind, if you find the video that you're about to watch helpful and you were going to get hold of this anyway, please use the link in the description to get hold of this device. Doing so will cost you nothing extra, and using that link and pledging to get hold of a Comet Q and or a Comet X will result in a small commission coming here to NAS Compares, and we get to keep doing what we do. It's just me and Ed doing the videos, the articles, the free support, all of that stuff. It really helps us out. But keep in mind, this is crowdfunding, not traditional retail. Be aware. Let's crack on with the rest of the video. This is the hardware that the crowdfunding will deliver upon. Now, first thing on that one, I did reach out after that video with a bunch of questions of my own and other users to Gl.iNet, and to their credit, they did get back to me within about 8 hours. Now, some of those questions even sooner than that. My main question was regarding something someone highlighted in the comments about, one, if and when this goes to traditional retail, which inevitably it will, are users that buy this at likely the higher price going to get it before the people that got the cheaper price on the Kickstarter? Because right now this is 25% off if you get it on the Kickstarter at $202, but you do have to get the $89 Comet Q. So again, you're sub $300 for the pair, which is still a sodding bargain, but users were worried that they'd get it at the cheap price and be at the back of the queue. Gl.iNet have confirmed that this will be available for traditional retail after the crowdfunding for the Q ends, but it will be at a higher price, and the Kickstarter people will get their devices first, with intended fulfillment for the end of August. Something to bear in mind there. So that was really, really important to me and others. We'll return to other questions that I put to Gl.iNet later in the video, but let's get our hands dirty, because one of the other things I raised in the video was to do with noise and cooling on this device. Now, I said I didn't want to take it apart until closer to the final review and software, because I didn't want to risk knackering the bloody thing, but so many people asked about the active or passive cooling system in this that my back was against the wall, and so I started ripping it apart. Now, taking it apart, it has 12 different screws. We have 4 of them located under these rubber panels there at the bottom. Hopefully they're still loose and I can just peel that away. So again, there's 2 there, 2 on the other side. Inside, there's further screws for the 2 PCBs that are inside. PCBs, one of them dedicated to the main ports and connections, and there are pin connections that connect the second one, along with an additional ribbon cable that connect that second board there. And again, I will say the chip placement is pretty bloody good there. Very clear, very clean. Also, when it comes to the different transistors, all the different little, say transistors, little power bottles there, all the way across the device, it was all nice and clean inside. I will say, there was way less heat sinks inside than I was anticipating. There was no fan, something I postulated before, and as someone in the comments did highlight, there is no ventilating holes all around this, so active cooling was going to be a dead bust anyway if there was any, but there's no internal active fan. This device runs purely on dissipating heat via the metal external there. So what about the heat that was generated in operation? Remember, you should watch the other video for more information about the hardware and spec inside, but heat dissipation was all right. I will say, when you had the device turned off, cooling took a little longer than anticipated, but thermals after an hour of sustained use sat at between 52 degrees and 56 degrees there. And again, the top panel was the coolest at 48. Now, with those 4 clients connected, that was where the temperature kind of sat. I think it peaked at 58 at one point when I was doing a flick between each of the IPs, connected KVMs. But interestingly, when I powered the device down, I put it to one side for 15 minutes just to see how long it would take for the heat to dissipate, and after 15 minutes it was still at around 50 degrees around it. So again, dissipation on this because of the lack of external heat sinks, or ridged heat sinks at least, but also the lack of a cooling fan means you are very much at the mercy of the room you are in. And right now, as detailed in another video, we are currently in some of the hottest weather that the UK has ever seen. Hopefully you can see that on screen. And I think there's no avoiding that the ambient heat in my studio here definitely played its part. So again, we will revisit heat dissipation during power off moments in a follow-up video. Next up, power use. I wanted to dig a little bit into this because I found a couple of interesting things. Now let's get the stats out of the way. When you've got the device running base with no KVMs connected, so I wanted to see what is the base power consumption using our charge power battery here that gives us the real-time monitor there to 2 decimal places. We're able to see power use between 2.13 and 2.17 watts. Remember, that's the base power of the hardware with no KVMs connected. After no KVM clients. After that, I connected 4 KVM clients with 1 active at any given time, and that put the power consumption between 4 and 4.7 watts. Now, all of that is reasonable. It's all sub 5 watt. I'm happy with that. That meets their specifications. But what I thought was interesting is when I had both a PoE device and a USB power device attached at the same time, because, and maybe this is supported on their other PoE devices, but I haven't tested it before, and it was really accidental that I noticed this, you can use failover for the power. So when I had the PoE connection and the USB connection there, if I disconnected one, the other one maintained. It didn't reboot. It didn't go back to the original screen. I was disconnecting the network PoE and the USB power took the load. It wasn't reading from it in the beginning, and because we were using the charge battery with the monitor there, we could see that when both were connected, the charge battery wasn't delivering power to the KVM, or there was a little bit of power being used for the RGB on the battery, but once we disconnected the PoE power, the battery immediately carried over with no rebooting of the device. I thought that was really interesting that this, either intentionally or accidentally in the design, has power failover. But another weird thing that came up during the testing that I will investigate further later was when I had this connected to just the PoE port using a unified PoE switch, it seemed to use more power on PoE than it did over USB. Now, the reason I say I have to investigate it is the only port I had spare for that was via a PoE+++ port on the unified switch I was using, the Pro XG. The result is I need to investigate whether the additional power is because of the PoE++ port just chucking more out, what its own internal power management is compared to USB. But at the very least, at a glance, it does look to me like PoE, until further confirmation at least, looks like it's using more power than a USB input. Not much, we're talking like a watt to 1.5 watt, but still, I just wanted to include that there because it was intriguing. Returning to the comments and questions that people sent me after the previous video, one point that I thought was clear was perhaps not clear enough in the video, so I feel I should reiterate, and that is that this does not support the utility of USB Type-C visual out. What does that mean? It means that if you're using, for example, a MacBook that doesn't have HDMI out, or you're using a phone or something that doesn't have HDMI, both of these do have USB-C visual output, you have to use an adapter to use those with this. Now, for some of you, that's going to be less of a problem. Why? Because if you're getting that bundle from Kickstarter, you're getting a USB-C visual output KVM anyway in that bundle. For those that aren't, just wanted to reiterate again that when I was utilizing a MacBook and I was using the gaming handheld, they didn't have HDMI out and I had to use a docking station that had USB-C into an HDMI output there, just to clear that up. Next up, a number of you wanted to know more about this device when you connect it with internet facing. What exactly is happening there? Now, as I said in the previous video, until I do the full review, I need you to take everything I'm going to say, good or bad, with a massive pinch of salt, because the hardware is done, but the software isn't, the optimization isn't, and the tailored optimization for this device. And we will get round to questions I raised with Gl.iNet on the software later in this video. But at least for now, I got this connected to that Unify switch I mentioned earlier on, and I started looking at half an hour to an hour's worth of connectivity while I bounced between different PC clients, while I had the device connected to the GoodCloud service. The GoodCloud service already is available for other Gl.iNet KVMs and does use US-based access for a lot of that relay. They're not using a lot of the DNS that's Chinese or any of those other things in those other devices. So I had hopes that this wouldn't be bouncing from Chinese or at the very least non-US or non-European servers. And I can say I saw nothing untoward during that. Now again, even though there's nothing showing there that's sus, this is still a device in development. It's still an unfinished product. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's not going to connect to third-party services. It's not going to connect to IPs or start calling home to something you don't want, because I'm not going to say that about a device that isn't finished. But I'll say everything I saw from this prototype was squeaky clean to me. I saw nothing there that I was concerned with whatsoever. And finally, on to that software itself, because as I said, I raised questions, and some of the information from this video is comms that I had with Gl.iNet and some of their reps. And I asked about the software development, because one of my big takeaways of this, the too long didn't watch, if you will, was that the hardware's done, the software needs optimization, something I've said a billion times at this point. And I raised it with them, what's the software plan? They say they are targeting for the substantial version 1.92 update in August. Now, that is the one that's going to have a lot more tailored work towards this device before it rolls out. But interestingly, they were even talking about the update after that, version 1.10.0. Now, this is going to include two-way video audio, something we've talked about on our trip over to Shenzhen a little while ago, but also optimization and improvement for the mobile experience on this device and others. So again, software development and improvement is underway. So I'll hold off any kind of meaningful, solid last review of this device until the software is rolled out, or at the very least, what this thing is going to be like at launch, regardless of the software revision. Lastly, a couple of users got in touch and asked me to ask Gl.iNet to give me the skinny, just the blunt terms of what the hardware warranty is on this. We've already talked about software and software support and stuff, and you can look at their other devices to see how long they'll support those. But when it came to these, whether you get it Kickstarter, whether you get it traditional retail for either of these, what's the hardware warranty? And Gl.iNet state that you will get 2 years of manufacturer's hardware warranty on either of these devices if you go for them. Whether it is you go traditional retail or you go for the Kickstarter, which is reassuring there, I will say. So again, that's really it. As I say, this video was mildly ad hoc. I didn't think I was coming back to this device for a good couple of months, I should say. And moreover from that, I don't know if you've noticed, it's a bit hot here in the UK, and I didn't fancy being locked around 4 different KVM devices so soon, but hell, here I am. But let me know what you guys think about this device. Are you backing it? Are you thinking of backing it? And again, as mentioned in the early part of the video, this video and the other videos here on the channel, making ends meet on this channel is just getting harder all the time. Not just the videos, but the articles, the free support that we provide, and all of that stuff in the background. And Gl.iNet, listing this on Kickstarter, we have enrolled with the Kick Booster program, which means we get a small commission on every sale that goes through via the link in the description. So if you found this video helpful, very important, and if this video has led you to get hold of this device, then please use that link below to take you to Kickstarter when you place your order. Kickstarter is not traditional retail. It's not. Don't treat it that way. But if you understand the risks and you use a payment method where you've got the right protections, and I'll say Gl.iNet has fulfilled its other crowdfundings previously. I've got no reason to think they won't on this one, but it's not traditional retail. But nonetheless, if you're going to get hold of one of these, please use the link in the description to do so. It costs you nothing extra and it supports what we do, and I get to keep making videos like this. And as mentioned, I'm looking into doing a live stream on this device closer to its launch so we can go through the software together and I can take recommendations live of what you want to see, whether it can or can't do certain things. But stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.